Memorial Day is a federal holiday, a day to remember and honor U.S. military personnel who have died in combat. We begin with a homecoming of a veteran who has been missing since 1950. This is the story of Army Sergeant Roy Charles Delauter. There are lots of American flags adorning the graves of veterans at Cedar Lawn Memorial Park in Hagerstown. A flag on one grave has brought closure to the sister of a missing Korean War veteran.
I'm just glad he's home. I waited so long.
Buddy's 90, 92, and 94-year-old sisters Margaret, Jane, and Evelyn, and his 73 and 74-year-old daughters Sue and Charlene attended his funeral service in Boonesboro.
But I never thought that I'd live to see him come through.
Sergeant Roy Charles Delauter, welcome home.
Ron 20, Commander, and Antietam Chapter 312, Korean War veterans, led the service.
It's been 71 years, 4 months, and 21 days since you went missing.
Let us rejoice that our fallen hero has come home.
Jim Fisher, a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel who heads the Korean War Veterans Memorial Foundation, was joined by Colonel Hoo-Ju Lee, an attaché at the South Korean Embassy in Washington, in paying their respects.
My country owes a huge debt to Roy Charles Delauter, and his family came here today.
Charlene Delauter says her dad served in Company D, 1st Battalion, 32nd Regiment of the 7th Infantry Division.
Buddy's unit, Company D, the battalion's heavy weapons company, was positioned on the east side of the Chosin Reservoir in North Korea, the northernmost perimeter. He served in his unit as a cook.
Charlene says her dad was also an assistant gunner on an 81mm mortar team.
On the night of November 27, 1950, the Chinese Communist forces began a large-scale attack on all the U.S. positions at the Chosin Reservoir. U.S. defensive lines were overrun.
Hundreds of American soldiers were captured and led away to North Korean prisoner of war camps. Charlene's father was not one of them and was declared missing in action on December 1st, 1950. In a report of death memorandum written on November 12, 1953, the chief of the Army's casualty branch concluded that Delauter was killed in action, not missing in action, on December 1, 1950. In a signed statement, Sergeant Floyd Barkus, who had known Delauter for 3 years and was captured at the Chosin Reservoir, told investigators part of Buddy's right leg was blown off and he was thrown over a cliff. By the time Charlene Delauter received these classified documents from the Army last May, Sergeant Barkus had passed away. Retired Air Force Major General Kelly McKeague, director of the Defense POW-MIA Accounting Agency, says the remains of 250 individuals, including Sergeant Delauter, were turned over by North Korea 4 years ago.
There are over 81,000 MIAs from World War II through Operation Iraqi Freedom. 7,500 of those are still missing from the Korean War. Today, there's one less.
A U.S. Army officer saluted the 55 boxes of remains wrapped in UN flags before they were flown to Hawaii for identification.
My other two sisters gave blood samples, and through those blood samples, that's how they identified him.
Ready, aim, fire!
Sergeant Roy Charles Delauter, a lifelong resident of Washington County, Maryland, who graduated from Smithsburg High School, was laid to rest in Hagerstown with full military honors in a family plot at Cedar Lawn Memorial Park. Charlene Delauter was presented the American flag that covered her father's casket.
He was a much-loved and dearly missed father, husband, son, brother, and friend to those he left behind.
Sergeant Roy Charles Delauter, I salute you. Rest in peace. We love you.
Buddy was buried on April 22nd, his 93rd birthday. Delauter's dog tags were hung on the handles of his casket.